is a Mary Kay multimillionaire with over $6 million in commissions, and her highest monthly check so far is over $47,000. Stacy has been a member of the exclusive Inner Circle 11 times. She's proud that Mexico's Marisela Becerra de Mesa, NSD Emeritus Mary Pat Rayner, and Amy Gamboian debuted as national sales directors from her area. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your number 3 National Sales Director, Independent Executive National Sales Director, Stacy James.
I knew that I would not. I feel good. I knew that I would not. So good, so good. I got you. Wow, I feel nice. A sugar and spice.
Woo! Here we are. Has this been an amazing morning? Wow. Oh, my goodness, life-changing. Here we go. We are not to conform to the thoughts of this world because we are to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. And there are so many things that happen in this seminar that are going to renew our minds, renew our spirits, renew our hearts, renew our vision, give us something new to focus on because he is doing a new thing in us. There is one of my favorite authors. His name is Miles Monroe, and he has in a book about vision that there are 3 kinds of people when he talks about vision and dreams. And I want to know, are there any women in this room who have a new dream? Are there any men in this room who have some new dreams? Are there any men in this room who have new dreams for their wives? Well, he said that there are 3 kinds of people, and the first kind of people are the majority of the people in the world, and those are the people who do not know that they have a dream. They do not know that they were birthed with one. They do not know it's in their DNA. They do not know that they have a purpose for their life, and it's supposed to be meaningful, and it's supposed to have a specific direction, and it's supposed to make a difference into the lives of others. They don't know that. And then there are the second kinds of people, and those people are those who had a dream at some point. And that dream might have been a little girl dream, or it might have been a dream in high school, or it might have been a dream when you were in college, something that you knew you were going to do, something you knew you were going to attain, something you knew you were going to accomplish. And then something happened. It could have been a crisis. It could have been a discouragement. It could have just been life, because sometimes life has a tendency to start to run us instead of us having the tendency to control our life and to design our life and to know that our life can look like what we choose for it to, when oftentimes people assume that our lives look like what we were just left to live. And then there are the third kind of people in the world, he said, and those are the people that know they have a dream in their heart. They know that there's something within them that's stirring. They just don't know what it is. You know, it's kind of like there's a calling, and they're aware of it, but you don't know what to do with it. You don't know where to take it, and you don't know what you're supposed to and where you're supposed to go with it and accomplish with it, but it's still stirring in there, and you can feel it. And what I love about seminar is that it puts us in the atmosphere that we get to allow our hearts to open up, our hearts to soften, our hearts to receive. And when that happens, then as a result of that, we start to allow ourselves to discover what that dream is. So those are the 3 kinds of people. Now, we talked about some fears this morning, so I'm going to tell you some stories. Are you ready? Okay. Anybody in this room ever felt fear before? Any of you know that you've got some fears right now? Any of you have a phobia? Any phobias? Okay, so here's the deal. We are going to banish those things, but I want you to know that in Mary Kay, from the moment that I became a consultant, I discovered that there were fears that I needed to work through. But there was one fear that I've had all these years since I was a little girl, and it's the fear of heights. Does anybody join me in that one? Well, I've always had the fear of heights. When I was small, my dad was a home builder, and when, you know, the construction goes on in houses, usually when you go up steps and they're under construction, you can look through and you can see through to the basement. You know what I mean? Well, my dad, I would go up to the top of the steps and I would be so frightened I couldn't come down, so he would have to carry me down. And I hated that. And I don't think it was that I hated the fear of the heights as much as I didn't like the fact that something was controlling me and that I couldn't do it myself. That feeling it felt diminishing. It felt as if I wasn't able to be my strong self and my powerful self because of that fear. It was holding me in a small place. So as I grew up, that fear still continued. I didn't find myself very often feeling it, but when I did, it was very obvious and apparent. One time, we had some friends of ours who had a hot air balloon. And they wanted us to see it launch. They'd asked me several times to get in the balloon, and I never wanted, they would go, "Don't you want to go?" No. So we were watching the balloons launch, and she walked over to my daughter Whitney, who was in my arms at the time, who was about 4 years old, and she put her arms open. Whitney got in her arms. She put Whitney in the basket of the balloon, and of course, every mom I climbed in the basket right after my daughter. He cut the rope, the balloon took off, and I found myself laying on the floor of the basket. I had my daughter in my arms, and she kept going, "Mommy, I want to see it." I was like, "No, you don't want to see." All I could think of was, we are above the ground. I'm in a basket. It is wicker. There is a balloon above me, and there's fire in the balloon. How does that make any sense? When the basket landed, I fell out of the basket, laid on the ground. It was not a pretty sight. It was very sad. Okay, so hold that thought. I want you to have that thought, because a few years ago, our trip as NSDs was to Sydney, Australia. And in Sydney, Australia, there are a million wonderful things to see, like the Sydney Opera House. But there's also an attraction, which I didn't know the first 2 times I was in Sydney, Australia. I saw this beautiful bridge I didn't know was an attraction. It's the Sydney Harbour Bridge. The attraction is that a lot of people come from all over the world to climb the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Now, when we received information about Sydney, Australia, at Leadership Conference, I walked into the NSD suite, and all the NSDs were marking off all the excursions they wanted to take, and Cindy Williams said to me, "Stacy, I want to climb the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and it's not on the excursion list. Why do you think that is?" And all I could do was look at her and say, "Because it's a stupid idea." So my very mentally healthy girlfriend didn't pay any attention to me whatsoever, because mentally healthy people, it doesn't matter if people rain on your parade, it doesn't matter if people tell you something stupid. If you're going to do it and you want to and you set your mind on it, and you're in a company like this that teaches you how to do that and focus on the good and look for the dream and believe in the dream and grab onto the dream, then you just don't pay attention to the naysayers or the people that don't understand what your dream is, because you cannot show a 3x5 mind a 22 by 1700 dream. They don't get it. So at that point in time, my mind, as far as fear of phobia of heights, was pretty strong. So I walked out of that room and I forgot about it, because, you know, I forget about things I don't like to think about. Didn't think about it again until we were at NSD meetings in April, and May was when the trip was. And we're sitting around the table at the meetings, the inner circle meetings, and everything else was done, and we're having conversations. We're waiting for the limos to come pick us up and take us to the airport. I love being a national sales director. And Karen Pirro said, "Oh my gosh, we were looking at the excursions for our trip, and it says on the excursions all these fun things to do, but it doesn't say the Sydney Harbour Bridge climb. And Steve and I want to go on the Sydney Harbour Bridge climb." And I'm looking at her with that strange look on my face, and then all of a sudden, Pat Danforth, she pipes up and she says the same thing. And they said, "Ron Trammell, how come it's not on there?" And Ron Trammell turned to them and said, "Because we would have to take out so much insurance to cover all of you to climb the Sydney Harbour Bridge. It's just outrageous. And so all you need when you have a fear is to be given evidence as to why something really is ridiculous. And my response to that was, I told you. Okay, so next month, we're leaving for the trip. We get to the trip about a day late because our daughter, Mackenzie, was graduating from high school. And we get to the hotel at 7:30 in the morning, the Four Seasons Hotel in Sydney, Australia. And we walk in the door, and several of the NSD husbands they run in the door right behind us. They're doing body slams. They're going, ooh, 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 slamming each other and doing high fives and dancing all over at 7:30 in the morning. And I turned to them and I went, what are you doing? They went, we just climbed the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Yeah. So I walked out and I looked at the bridge and I said, that bridge? Little bitty people up on top, that bridge? They said yes, and I went, oh my gosh, you guys. So Brian and I went to lunch in Sydney Harbor. We're sitting there looking out over the beautiful horizon, and Pat Danforth comes walking up to me, National Sales Director. Her eyes are really big, and she's not walking just nice and slow. She's walking like this. Now, have you ever noticed people who have somewhere to go and something to do and their life is important, they have a tendency to just kind of walk quickly and with great direction, and they have a presence? Do you have a presence? Show me your presence. I want to see your presence. Confidence presence has a certain look about it. Pat approached me and she looked into my eyes and she said, oh my gosh, Stacy, Tim and I just climbed the Sydney Harbor Bridge about an hour ago. It was amazing. And I said, you know what, I don't want to hear about this bridge climb stuff anymore, because I have a fear of heights. And she said to me, so do I. And I said, then why did you climb the bridge? And she said, because I don't want to have a fear of heights anymore. And I said, so, breakfast, sitting at a table in the hotel. The back of my chair starts to rock, and I looked up at beautiful Cheryl Warfield, who was looking a little peaked. And I said, are you okay? And she said, I'm not feeling so good. And I said, how come? And she said, because I'm going to climb the Sydney Harbor Bridge today. And I said, oh. And she goes, and I think I'm going to get sick. And I went, I don't think you need to climb the bridge. No, 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 no. So we went on our way. That night was our last dinner night. And I was waiting in the lobby with all the nationals all dressed up. The limousines were pulling up to take us out to dinner. And here comes Cheryl down the steps. And I saw that look in her eye. That was the same look that Pat had in her eye. So I totally avoided her. In fact, I got into the limo with Carly Eisenhart because I knew Carly didn't climb the bridge. She hadn't said anything about it. And so I climbed in next to Carly. We went to dinner. We were sitting together. Carly and I were having an amazing conversation. Carly got up and went to the bathroom. And as she left to go to the bathroom, pretty soon her seat was empty. And Cheryl Warfield sat down right next to me, looked into my eyes and went, oh my gosh. I climbed the bridge. It was amazing. I have a whole new level of courage, and I can do anything now. So I went to bed that night. I woke up the next morning. Brian and I went to breakfast again, and we're having breakfast. And I said, Brian, it's our last day here, and I think I want to climb the bridge. I said, it's not that I think I have to. It's not that I think that I should. It's just there's a stirring in my heart. I woke up this morning and I want to climb the bridge. Like I want to. There's something in that makes me want to do it. And my husband said, Stacy, oh my gosh, you know that I think you can do anything you want to. You know I've supported you wholeheartedly on every endeavor you've ever done. But, you know, have you forgotten you are afraid to drive across that bridge? I don't think it might be pretty. I don't think it may be good. I don't know that you should do it. And so we started to walk back to the hotel. And as we walked back to the hotel, I started to say, oh, you are so right. Oh, my gosh. I'm so glad that you brought me to my senses. I feel so much better. I'm not going to climb that bridge. I don't know what I was thinking. We walked into the hotel, and bounding down the staircase was National Sales Director Cindy Williams. at the bottom of the staircase, she said, "Stacy James, I'm climbing the bridge and you're going with me." So I looked at my husband, he goes, "Oh," so I ran up, signed up, we went, got on the bridge, we went through all the instructions, we started to climb the bridge. Oh my gosh, as we were going, the man in back of me was just as afraid as I was, and I knew he was because every time we turned somewhere, he'd go, So we got up almost to the summit of the bridge, and I'm looking down, and I've got my little bungee cord, which of course is a bungee cord. So if you fall, you have a bungee cord. That means you hang from a little bitty bungee cord. They also teach you how to fall, so if you fall, you won't die. So as we get to the top and I'm looking down, Cindy grabs my arm and she goes, "Stacy, stand up. Do not let your fear rob you from the view." So I stood up and I looked at the view and it was phenomenal. We got to the summit, we went across the top and we came down. And then this is what happened. On the way down, I thought to myself, on the way up, this was scary. But now it's not. And on the way up, this part was scary, and now it's not. And on the way up, this part was really scary, and now it's not. And that's when that rush comes up inside of you, and you say to yourself, "Oh my gosh, I did it. Oh my gosh, I did it." And it is a rush. But here's the deal. When I was feeling that feeling, I discovered that that was not the first time I've ever felt that feeling. I felt that feeling the very first time I put my arms into the sleeves of my red jacket. I did it. I felt that feeling the first time I put my arms into my director's suit and I picked up the keys to my Cadillac and I said, "I did it." It's an amazing feeling. I felt that feeling when I debuted on stage as a national sales director, and when I debuted my Offspring national sales directors. That rush and that feeling is all there. This company is about you stretching yourself. This opportunity about you becoming the best version of yourself. You could live your life in fear this year, or you can make a decision that you are not going to allow the fear to rob you of the view of the life that you are supposed to be living. So here is the deal. This is our year. It's our 50th anniversary. This is our year. This is our time to succeed and grow and dream and be who we were intended to be. This is Mary Kay Ash's year. She dreamt of this year, and she dreamt of each one of you. And we are not to conform to the thoughts of any world, because we are to be transformed, and we are to live her dream and her legacy that she left us. And this is his year. It's his kingdom, and we're doing it for his good, and he will get the glory. Thank you.
I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. I feel good.
Stacy will also receive the classy leopard print wallet as our thank you for sharing her incredible wisdom with us.